Hi, I'm Anne Hogan. I'm Dean of the College of Performing Arts and the Musco Center for the Arts here at Chapman University in Southern California. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to Musco Connects. Now, here at the Musco Center for the Arts, we are so excited about our 25-26 season. And that includes coming up in December, 2 performances of Campana Sobre Campana, also known as Christmas in Mexico. It's a really terrific family-oriented show. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it features Mariachi Garibaldi and Ballet Folklórico del Rio Grande. And I'm here today to learn about Ballet Folklórico as an art form from Miguel Peña, who is the artistic director and choreographer for Ballet Folklórico del Rio Grande. And Miguel is also an assistant professor of dance and director of the BA in dance with a specialization in Ballet Folklórico at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. Miguel, welcome. We're so glad to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's going to be really good to see you in person here in December. We're already looking forward to the holidays and to that performance. So Miguel, I kind of to start out, I often hear the genre of ballet folklorico referred to as a theatricalized presentation of Mexican regional folk dancers. Now, would you say that's a fair enough, description? And where did ballet folklorico come from?
Well, ballet folklórico is a mixture of cultures, a mixture of cultures. And it's not only, it's commonly known that it comes from the Spanish and the indigenous people that lived in Mexico in the pre-Hispanic era. But ballet folklórico, if I have to put it in a paragraph, ballet folklórico will be a traditional art form that celebrates the rich cultural heritage of Mexico. It features vibrant costumes, lively music, and diverse regional dances from different states or regions in Mexico.
Wow. So yeah, and it's such a popular genre.
It is. It is. It's always projecting happiness. It's very contagious for the audience to watch and hear the mariachi music and the folkloric dance of Mexico.
Yeah. So what was like kind of the journey or the evolution of this? Because you had, as you were saying, these folk dances from so many different areas of Mexico and formed by so many cultures. How did it get to where we go and see it on a stage?
Well, it has been a really long journey for the folklorico dance. Us personally, as in folklorico, we have the pre-Hispanic dances from 1400, 1500. Then the Spaniards arrived with their culture, their traditions, their music, their dances, and the people from Mexico adopted those dances and make it their own. And it started to evolve and evolve and evolve. So it became really popular in the 1940s, 1950s. Amalia Hernandez was the pioneer of this movement. Of course, before her, it was Mr. Torreblanca, a very popular personality in the Mexican folklore in Mexico as well. But the most known person was Amalia Hernandez, founder of the Ballet Folklórico de Mexico. She was commissioned by the Mexican government to create this program of Mexican folklorico and try to rescue the traditions from different regions or states to put up onto a stage for different events. But mainly it was commissioned by the Mexican government in that era.
Wow, that's so interesting that it was a real intentional moment of, that's fantastic. And then I guess from there it just continued to evolve and grow in popularity.
Yes, of course, and it grew all over Mexico, and of course, I will say maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it became super popular here in the United States, especially in the border with Mexico. And I was telling you the other day that, for example, here in the Rio Grande Valley, South Texas, we have in every high school, almost every high school, and we have plenty of them, maybe 20, 30 different high schools. Every single high school have their own folklorico group, their own assigned
Wow.
teacher to teach folklorico to students from 9 to 12.
Wow. So it's actually embedded in the curriculum of the high schools. That is amazing. That
Yes.
is really
And
amazing.
not only Mexican folk dance, but mariachi as well. Mariachi is
Yeah.
super popular here as well.
Yeah, yeah, certainly here. We actually have at Chapman University, we have a mariachi ensemble, and I think it's one of the very few that you would find in a university. It's just it's there's so much enthusiasm for both of these art forms that is seems really fascinating and distinctive about Ballet Folklórico is you were saying that it comes from the dances from so many regions of Mexico and so many, you know, cultural influences. So it's really just this rich heritage, but with all of those various influences in it, what would you say is what is kind of the glue that holds it together? What is it that kind of connects all of that rich history?
Joyfulness, happiness.
Uh,
It's the glue that puts everything together in Mexican folk dance. Of course, we have different celebrations for Dia de Muertos, for
yeah.
Christmas, and and of course it has different feelings sometimes, but the common denominator for all those pieces, dance pieces, choreographies, is the happiness that it's really contagious. And they are super different. Some of these dances, choreographies that you could see in Mexican folk dance, they could be day and night, in costumes, in music, in movements. It's something that I was telling my students the other day, is that dances from Yucatan are completely different from dances from the northwest of Mexico, which could be Baja California. No, they are day and night in costumes, music, and steps. But it's the richness of culture that Mexico has.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so what is because you mentioned, you know, that it's in the curriculum of the high schools, but what's the training like?
The training in the high schools at the university
Or
level.
just in general, if someone, how does someone become a, you know, a dancer of ballet folklorico? What's the, how do they, how do they learn that technique?
Okay, so they could start. Well, I me personally, I started at 16 years old. So
Hmm.
maybe for a dancer, I will not say late, but it's not super young.
Right.
So students can start any age.
Hmm.
I don't put an age limit for them. Um, it's very vigorous and they need to have a really good stamina, because traditional dances, they could go from, I don't know, could be a dance from 2 or 3 minutes, but the really las danzas, the traditional dances could last 20 minutes. Dancers dancing 20
Wow.
minutes, performing 20 minutes.
Wow.
So the stamina, the physical condition is very important. Besides that, adding that to the costumes sobre todo for las mujeres, for the women, they could weigh a lot. Those
Uh,
skirts that you see flowing on stage,
yeah, they're gorgeous. They're very
they-
beautiful and elaborate.
yes, and you could see them and say, oh, okay, it's super light, but it's not. They are not light. So the strength that the women should have to manage to really coordinate the movements with the skirt work, it's quite a lot. So
Yeah.
physical condition is very important. Musicality as well. We work a lot of musicality with the dancers, because it's really important. It's really important to know that the footwork that we do on a stage, on a tarima, which is the tarima, it's a wooden box, it
Hmm.
complements the music. It's not only the skirt work, it's not only your projection. We're also musicians at some point,
Hmm.
because we are complementing with our stomping, we're complementing the music. So it's really important. Musicality is really important as well.
That's amazing. And I can just, I'm thinking about what an aerobic workout it must be to have a heavy costume, beautiful as it is like that, and then be going for 20 minutes. That is incredible. But it's really interesting what you're talking about, that real kind of indelible connection between the music and the movement and how distinctive that is. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about your training and your development as a choreographer. And one thing that I find just really intriguing about your background, Miguel, is that you have 2 degrees in electrical engineering. So that is fascinating. How does that, inform your approach as a dancer and as a choreographer?
Well, it does influence a lot. I believe I like to think that influence a lot. My choreographies are very. I try to make them very symmetric,
Mhm.
changing and playing with figures on stage a lot.
Mm.
And one thing that helps is that usually in Mexican folkloric dance, it's a community dance, so we have
Uh-huh.
plenty of bodies to work with on stage. So it helps me a lot. It helps me a lot, and it keeps my mind really engaged on what to form in here: a triangle, a circle, a star, and how to transform that star into maybe a little pentagon downstage, right? So I like to think that the math skills are applied into some of my choreographies.
That is really, really cool. I've never, sort of connected approaches to engineering and math to choreography, but it makes perfect sense with your, looking at the overall, the design of the dance. That is fascinating. So how did you go? Were you studying dance while you were getting your degrees in electrical engineering, or how did this all come about?
Well, it's a long story, but I'll make it short. When I was 15, 16 years old, I was invited to a quinceañera. A quinceañera, it's a very popular party that we have in Mexico when the women turn 15.
Mm.
The parents spend a lot of money, almost like a wedding in this party. And in this party, they usually invite friends or hire chambelanes. Chambelanes are the men that dances at their quinceañeras along with their quinceañera,
Mhm.
with the girl. So I was invited to this quinceañera to dance. And after the quinceañera, the teacher, the instructor that was choreographing all these dances for the quinceañera invited me to stay in the studio and keep dancing. And also in that studio,
Ah.
they taught folklórico. They taught ballet folklórico. So I stayed. I was 16 years old when I really became into Mexican folk dance. Then at age of 18, I was in Reynosa at this time. I'm 16,
Mhm.
16 years old. When I turned 18, I came to the United States to study my bachelor's in electrical engineering. I kept dancing with the Ballet Folklórico here at the university at
Ah.
UTPA. It was UTPA before. I finished my degree at age of 22, more or less 23. I was not ready to stop dancing because I kept dancing with the Ballet Folklórico at the university. Then I said, okay, I want to keep dancing. I really like engineering. I
Mhm.
always liked. I still love engineering. So I said, okay, let me do my master's in electrical engineering so I could keep dancing for 2 more years because I was
Oh.
22, 23. I was not ready to sit down on a desk or no, I wasn't
Right.
ready. So I did my master's in electrical engineering. I finished my master's, and after that, one of my mentors, Francisco Muñoz, told me that okay, you are really good at this. This is what you love. This is your hobby. You could do it for to live, no, as a profession. And
Wow.
then I went ahead and started my master's in fine arts in dance at the University of Wisconsin Milwaukee. And
Mhm.
2 years later, I came back to be director of the Ballet Folklórico and faculty at the UTRGV dance department.
Wow. Wow, that is quite a journey. And, I think it's really cool that when you were describing Ballet Folklórico and how it's like founded in joy and that sense of exuberance, and it all started for you with the party. So that just that makes perfect sense. I love that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So Miguel, so tell us about Ballet Folklórico del Rio Grande specifically. And I'm especially interested in hearing about the dancers in the company.
Well, Ballet Folklórico del Rio Grande is made up by I will say, the best Mexican folk dancers in the United States. And let me tell you why. I will say 80%, 85% of the company are graduates from the UTRGV dance department with a specialization in Mexican folk dance. These 80 to 85% of dancers started training this art form whenever they were in high school. They completed their 3-4 years of high school. They came to the university. They got their BFA in dance with a concentration in Mexican dance, training for 4 years, performing an average of maybe 30 to 40 events a year with the Ballet Folklórico at the university. Then they finished their studies and came to the Ballet Folklórico del Rio Grande to be professionals in this art form. So I will say they are some of the best Mexican folk dancers in the United States.
Wow, we're so excited to have them here soon at the Musco Center. And yes, that's really interesting. So that by the time they go into the professional company, it sounds like they're very seasoned performers with all of those, that opportunity on stage throughout their 4 years.
Yes, I have some dancers that they are graduates from UTRGV. They were my students at UTRGV. And when they finished their studies here, they got their MFA with a concentration in Mexican dance. They got hired by Ballet Folklórico de Mexico, actually, in Mexico
Oh, wow.
City. Ballet Folklórico de Mexico, founded by Amalia Hernandez. They danced for a while over there, and now they're back here in the United States, dancing for Ballet Folklórico del Rio Grande. I also have some other students that were also dancing here professionally in New York, and now they're back with Ballet Folklórico del Rio Grande. So that's why I'm saying that Ballet Folklórico del Rio Grande, I will say they have the best Mexican folk dancers in the whole United States.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like that. And it's really interesting that you kind of have that lineage going back to that important moment in the 1950s that's fantastic.
Yeah, they have performed with various artists, really renowned mariachis in Mexico and the United States. Some of them have performed at the Kennedy Center, for example. I have presented some works through the American College Dance Association. We presented some works at the Kennedy Center.
Wow, congratulations.
2012, 14, 16, 18. And recently, right now in 2025, my choreography was selected in the top 2 in the nation by the ACDA, which is American College Dance Association.
Wow, well done, you. That is fantastic. So speaking about your choreography, how do you approach, going back to kind of the richness of this art form, and you're saying that there's so many different regional folk dances from all of the different regions and states in Mexico. How do you engage with those and learn about those and kind of incorporate them into your, vision for your choreography?
Yes, I mean, as I tell, this is one of my like opening speeches in my classes or workshops or lectures that I sometimes give out, is that it's very difficult for one single person to know everything about ballet folklórico. It's super difficult because Mexico is composed by 31 states.
Mm.
And each one of those states, it could be, not all of them, the majority of them is divided into several regions. For example, Tamaulipas, the state I was born, is divided into 3 regions, and that's only Tamaulipas. Oaxaca is divided into 6 or 7 regions, I can't recall right now. And each of those single regions has its own costumes, own music, own
Wow.
steps, own traditions. So it's very rich. Mexico is very rich. It doesn't, you could study all of those, yes, but it will take you a lot of time to learn every
Gosh.
detail about Mexican folk dance. So the way we instructors of Mexican folk dance, we keep informed is to consult with other experts in the area. For
Mm.
example, if I wanna do a choreography or create a choreography of Chihuahua, well, I'll try to do a little bit of research of how are the costumes, why are the costumes, the steps, why are the steps. And actually, last year I was in Jalisco. The year before that, I was in Yucatan. The year before that, I was in Chihuahua. So I keep myself informed and traveling and training with all these experts, so I can absorb all the information and try to do a better job in the Ballet Folklórico of Rio.
Yeah, that's incredible. So you're actually physically going to these places and learning about that and then incorporating that into your vision. It's a lot of work, Miguel.
It's a lot of work, but I mean, I don't complain. This is what I love.
Yeah. It's clear when you're talking about the company and the training of the dancers and their kind of evolution from students into professionals that you love teaching as well. And yeah, so how does your teaching inform your practice as a dancer yourself and a choreographer?
Yes, I mean, I love to teach. I have been teaching since I was 17 years
Oh,
old. I told you I started dancing in quinceañeras, and a year later I became a teacher. I mean, my
wow.
dad is a math teacher. My mom is a social studies teacher. So I think it's in my blood, the teaching
Mm.
part. Nobody in my family is a dancer, but I mean, it's fine. Um, and how my teaching inform my practice. I think I think it's the other way. I think
Hmm.
the more I travel, the more I interact with people, with experts in Mexico, the more I dance, the better teacher I become. I think.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. So you're, if I understand it correctly, you are going to be performing as part of Campagna Sobre Campana here at the Musco Center.
Yes, yes. I also was a professional dancer. In while I was doing my bachelor's and master's in
Uh-huh.
electrical engineering, I was also dancing in Mexico professionally in Jalapa, Mexico. I was really lucky that I had this really good relationship with my professors in engineering, and I was a student, I will say. So they allowed me to travel to Mexico very often to perform
Mm.
professionally with Espectáculo Jarocho, which is a company based in Veracruz, Mexico. So I used to be a professional dancer up to I started teaching at the UTRGV at the
Mm.
university. I stopped for 5 6 years dancing professionally because I never stopped dancing, of course, because
Right.
I teach, and
Yeah.
sometimes emergencies happen, so I had to sub for a dancer sometimes in the
Oh,
university.
so you're continue to be thrown into the performances.
Yes, but recently I said, okay, yeah, I think everything is running smoothly now, so I retook this role as dancer in Ballet Folklórico del Rio Grande. So yes.
Wow, how fun. So what's it like to be on stage with with the people that you've choreographed for and also out there performing?
I mean, it's really fun. It's really fun. We know each other really well. I have known some of my dancers for 10 years now.
Mm,
So it's really fun to be performing along them, no? And we have since we have this really good connection inside and outside the studio. I think it shows on stage. It helps a lot.
yeah. Yeah. So in terms of Ballet Folklórico del Rio Grande, what are your plans for the future? How do you see the company, continuing to evolve and perform?
Well, I see the company keep growing and keep having shows all around the United States. Hopefully soon, Europe, Asia.
Mm.
I think we have a very solid show. Well, the Christmas show and the Dia de Muertos show, and we have another one which is called Fiestas de Mexico, which features that fiestas, parties, weddings, quinceañeras. Este, so I see Ballet Folklórico Rio Grande growing exponentially in the next future years, attracting more and more professional dancers into the
Mhm.
company, which we have a very solid group, of course.
How
But
many dancers do you have, Miguel, in
right
the
now we
company?
have 18 dancers.
18. Yeah, it's
18
great.
dancers. But yes, I see the group growing in number, attracting more quality, high quality dancers. And I think one of the mission also for Ballet Folklórico Rio Grande, of course, it's to perform, yes, dance professionally, but also to inform the audience about the traditions of Mexico,
Mm.
the culture in
Hmm.
Mexico, keep traditions alive in the United States. It's very important. I see ourselves like ambassadors of the Mexican culture in the
Yeah.
United States. So I think it's very important that we carry that stamp or seal very proudly in our group.
Yeah, I love that mission of being the ambassadors of the richness of Mexican culture and heritage. And I love also that you're thinking about the global, impact of the company. How's Ballet Folklórico? Is it well known in Europe or in Asia? And how do audiences there respond to it?
I think Mexico is known all
Sure.
over the world. Yes, I mean, no, every corner in the world, I think there's Mexicans everywhere.
Yeah,
We are, again, we are a very joyful culture that
absolutely.
we people notice us. So, and mariachi music is known all over the world as well.
Yeah.
So, and I believe Ballet Folklórico is up there too. So, and we have both. Our show has the best music in the world, which is the mariachi music, and one of the best dance performances also, which is the Mexican folk dance.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's terrific. I love that you have, a really clear and an ambitious view of the company. That's incredible. Um, Anything you want us to know about the show here at the Musco Center specifically?
Yes, well, we're going to be presenting Campana sobre Campana, Christmas in Mexico. And I believe this show is really unique because it blends the festive cheer of Christmas with the
Mm,
vibrant traditions of Mexican folkloric dance. It's very important that it's a family-friendly experience.
yeah.
That it's for all ages. Yeah, and you don't have to have prior knowledge on what ballet folklorico is or what mariachi is
That's really important.
really,
Yeah.
really enjoy the show. It's a really joyful show and truly inclusive and magical celebration for everyone.
Wow. Well, we are so excited to see it here. And I think one thing that really strikes me about, about Ballet Folklórico is that it is that fun and joy and exuberance, but we're actually going to learn a lot about the different regions and traditions of folk dance and Mexican culture. So that's going to be amazing.
Yes.
Wow. Well, Miguel, thank you so much for talking to us today at Musco Connects. And again, we're all really looking forward to the show and to having you here in Orange, California.
Thank you. We're looking forward to it too. Thank you.
Great.